through the bye week, and depending on where you are, it is still the morning. Welcome back, guys. Welcome, Felipe. How are you doing today?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, good morning, everybody.
And Felipe, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today, as promised, we are going to be talking about the virtue of poverty. What is poverty? Why do the church believes in poverty, and why poverty is not having anything?
And what do the Beatitudes say about poverty? Blessed are the poor.
Bless. Oh, you got me off guard there.
Blessed are the poor in spirit.
Because
I
the
was hoping you
kingdom.
would know the rest. I only knew the first.
I don't know it by heart, like though. Like, okay, let me check. And I'll cut, and through the magic of the editing, I'll know straight away.
We could have kept it in as long as you didn't say cut. People might have laughed at that.
No, but yeah.
Oh,
Blessed.
are the poor in spirit. I just remembered that when I began talking. That's why I thought.
Yeah, that's a good. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I got it right. I got it. I said it. If I had kept to it, that would be good. You know what? I'm gonna leave the whole thing,
Okay.
and
I
people
hope
are gonna
not.
laugh at my face.
I hope not, but all right. Okay, so
Let's see. I'll see it
blessed
when
are
we
the
edit.
poor in spirit, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God. I think
Yeah.
this is the type of poverty we're talking about today, right?
Yes, because the poverty in spirit, it's way beyond simply not, having anything. It's funny because Jesus is considered the poor, like the ideal of poverty, but Jesus had everything. He's God. So why is then Jesus poor? Not because he didn't have anything, but he gave everything. Like Jesus gave even his life for us. So, and again, I remember Philippians where it says, even though he was in the divine condition, he lowered himself,
And he emptied
and
himself and became a
he
man.
emptied and became a man, and took the condition of a slave. So poverty is measured not for the amount of people have, but the amount that people give away. So, like the more you give away, the poorer, like the more virtuous in the poverty you are. So, poverty is not.
That's
It's
actually
about
mind blowing
detachment.
because I think many people look at poverty in a negative sense. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't do this. But you're actually saying it's when you give
When
yourself.
you Yes, that's actually the virtue of poverty that the church and the holiness is inviting us to live, because it's like people who do promises of poverty, especially for example for us in the community, we don't like. I have a job. I make money. I have a family. It's good for me to keep a good house, a good condition for them. That doesn't mean that, like, just because I made a promise of poverty, I'm gonna live under the bridge. It is so we have to have very clear, especially among Christians, especially Catholics, to say that poverty, chastity, and obedience as the invitations from the gospel for everyone to live, but especially for the consecrated to live. This is those virtues are not
They help you grow in
something that
happiness. They're not no's.
exactly that
Yeah.
makes you happier, makes you more you. Because the church is not against humanity. Actually, the church is completely for humanity. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense if the church was saying, like, you know, be less of yourself. And God doesn't want us to be less of ourselves. So, and then when we see that in this perspective of giving everything, so people like the missionaries, life community, they give everything. They give even the choice of where they're going to live in the world. It's not up to them. So, is this poverty? Of course it is, because then they don't even like. That's like the you see, it's both ways. They don't even have a place to be because it's not theirs forever, but at the same time they can simply pack the bags and go.
I think it's
And
both in
yeah.
both covenant and life. You live in poverty of God,
Also,
just in different ways.
Yes, of course. Yeah, this is also our promises. Is as covenant community, even though I know, and I'm not the best example because I lived in 3 different countries already. Actually, more than that. But as covenant community, I lived in actually 4 different countries, and I'm going back to Austria next week. I don't know when you're listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube. Yeah,
At morning
I'm
brunch.
about to move. Yeah, so I'm about to move to Austria, and yeah, us too as covenant communities to be open to go in mission wherever the church needs us is also part, and it's also something that we read at the mass to be like, I promise to go in mission wherever the church and the community needs me.
We pour in God's hands. Let Him provide. Let Him take care.
Yeah, it is up to Him, and God knows. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easier, but giving back our communion of goods, everything that all the money that we make, we don't have to, but it's like,
no one's obliging you to. Yeah.
No, nobody's putting a gun on your head to say that you have to give your money. But as part of that's also the poverty, as our founder would say. Like, that's just one of the biggest example of poverty in the covenant community is when we give back our communion of goods. That's the expression, like we give back because everything that we receive from God. So when we give back the communion of goods, 15% of what we receive, we are actually being poor, saying like, everything that I have, it's not mine, but everything that I have belongs to the Lord. So more than simply supporting Life Community, or
it's a way to detach and grow in holiness.
Exactly. It's just saying like, I'm not the master and owner of everything that I have. It is the Lord's. So it's a way also to say like, I'm not, and it's interesting when we change the perspective, because some brothers of the community, there are some members of the community that are pretty rich, businessmen. There are people who have some means, and I can see like some of them and say like, I thank God so much that He blessed me with this company, because I can help so much more the Life Community, and I can we can see in their eyes the perspective of being rich. Even though they never say they're rich, we know they are, and they help the community. They are open. I remember there was a man in Brazil who that happened. I don't know exactly the story, but he was saying like, he was praying to God, and he made a promise that whoever asked him to build a church, he would help.
He's in the covenant community in Brazil?
I'm not very sure if he's in the covenant community. I just remember the story of him saying like inside of himself, like, I will manage my goods as I please, and I will help the poor, but I will never say no to somebody asking me to build a church. But so far until that moment, nobody had asked him to build a church.
God was
like
it was to write the check.
There was the craziest idea, and then it happened and he was saying like his dream or something, like he hoped to build a church of 1,000 square meters, which I have no idea how much is it in square feet. So he wanted to build a church with 1,000 square meters, and then Moises went to talk to this guy. And he told me, look, we are looking to build a church, and it's going to be like the biggest church for the community.
Is the Church of the Risen One in Jaconia?
Yes.
Ah, nice.
And he went to him and said, we would like to ask for a donation for that church, and I would like to know if you would be willing to help and donate to that church. And the guy before he said yes, he said, how big is going to be that church? Because the community is quite big. And Moises replied to him like, I think it's going to be at least 1,000 square meters, because it's going to have to be big. In that moment, he said, I'm going to help to build that church. I don't know how much he donated, but I think the the foundation. I think that he donated the whole foundation of the church.
Wow, praise God.
And yeah,
Someone who's
so
detached right there.
that man,
Yeah.
I mean,
A
that
good
man
example of holiness,
is
too.
an example of a very rich man that had enough means, and at the same time he didn't like stop himself because he knew it, like it was for the Lord. And it's funny because today, we're just making a comparison, like in the 1500s, like 500 years ago, people used to build church, like huge churches with like
It's like that in the
tons
United
of
States
gold
too. Yeah. Catholic
and
Protestant churches are like that in the United States.
yeah, and nowadays it's so hard to build a church. I think also because this fear of God and this poverty of people, like people are becoming more and more poor in a way of Pope Francis keeps saying, like, we reach out to the borders of society, but the people that are poor in this sense is actually the richest people there are. They have a lot of money, but they are not actually.
Yeah, it's a spiritual poverty, especially
Rich.
going through the West right now that everyone's struggling with. Yeah.
Yeah, today there is a lot of people who have a lot of money, but they are actually not poor in spirit, but they are poor in so many other things. But that's not those rich people need to be poorer in the sense of the poverty that God invites us to be. But anyways, it's a matter of giving. Now I remember, maybe I'm speaking too much, but immediately I remember the passage that says that whatever you receive for free, give out for free.
Do you know where that's from? Is it the Old Testament?
No, it's the New Testament for sure. That's the
if you know the passage, put it in the comments.
Yeah, please put it in the comments. I'm horrible. I remember the passages, but I don't remember where they are from. But that's Matthew. I think it's Matthew 6, because it's around that moment when Jesus is speaking that, like, don't worry about what you're gonna eat or you're gonna
your
dress,
Father in heaven knows how to take care of you.
because he knows how to take care of you. And then he says something like, whatever you receive for free, give out for free. That also has a lot to do about poverty. For example, I'm invited very often to speak about prayer at St. Teresa of Avila. Everything I learn, I never pay for anything I learned in St. Teresa of Avila. When I was in mission in France, the community sent me to study theology. The books I always had because of the community. I never got it because of that. So when I'm invited to speak about St. Teresa, I never charge anything to anybody because it feels that doesn't make sense. Of course, maybe one day I'm going to write a book about St. Teresa and spirituality or something
like it.
I'll
put it in the comment, the description.
Maybe that
I'm
day,
just kidding.
10 years from now, I don't know. But maybe if I write a book, maybe I'll charge for the book because, it's work. But when people ask me to speak, it doesn't make sense. I remember when I went in mission to the south of Brazil, I went to found the mission of Curitiba.
You started the prayer group there?
Nice. I was in the first life community who went there. It was actually the first mission of Shalom in the south of Brazil. I don't know if you know it. Brazil have 5 main regions.
Brazil's huge.
Yeah. So Brazil is divided between us in 5 regions. It's north, northeast, center, southeast,
I think Brazil
and south.
might be bigger than the United States, actually.
No, it's not.
It's close.
It is close. But I think Brazil is the 5th and the United States is the 4th biggest country in the world. It's pretty close. So, yeah, I went in mission to the south of Brazil, and it was funny because people kept asking me, how much do you charge for a talk? It's I don't charge anything. What are you talking about? And so this is also some part of poverty, is giving out whatever you have received. So evangelization, in a sense, is also poverty because we are giving out, sharing out.
And you're detached from what other people will think. You have peace.
Yeah.
I think
It
another
is.
great saint
Yeah.
that many people don't know about, who was
Mm.
very very wealthy. I think he was Saint Louis, and he was King of France. Have you heard
Yeah.
of him before? It
Tell
was his
yeah.
feast day a couple months ago, and he was a very
Mm-hmm.
wealthy person,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
he became a saint by always giving, and he told his children, frequent confession, always give what you have, and he
Yeah.
became a saint in that
And
way.
yeah.
That was
Yeah,
his
and
path
and there
from God.
was exactly, and then there was a huge tradition in France to name the king Louis, Louis in case like in French. But yeah, the also there is Louisiana in the United States that it was founded by the French, and it was in homage of Saint Louis.
Oh
and
wow,
also and also there is a city in Brazil called Saint Louis or
It's
Saint
Saint
Louis.
Louis. It's in the northern part,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah.
exactly, and is also founded by the French, and is also in homage of Saint Louis of the French. So it is quite, and also I remember one of the most, not one of, like, it's hard to rank churches in Rome, but if you go to Rome, there is a church called San Luigi dei Francesi, that means literally Saint Louis of the French. That in that church is the picture of Caravaggio, the vocation of Matthew. I don't know if you know that
The one where he
picture.
calls him from the desk.
Yeah, he's
Yes,
exactly.
yes, yes,
He's
yes, yes.
Jesus is pointing, and there is the desk and the light. That painting is at the church called San Luigi dei Francesi. So it's a big parenthesis there, but yeah,
So
St. Louis was a
if
very
if
rich.
someone is wealthy, like an American or like St. Louis, and they're a wealthy person,
Mhm.
how do they grow in poverty? If it's this idea of being detached and
Yeah,
being free from your wealth, free to give it, how would you
yeah.
recommend for someone to grow in poverty?
I think the first key is the detachment. It's leaving, as St. Paul would say. Please write that passage in the comments because I keep forgetting. But as St. Paul was saying, we live as we don't have anything. Like, I forgot the exact passage, but he was saying, like, whoever has a wife, leave as he doesn't have a wife. Whoever has a house, leave as
Oh, and if you're
you didn't
single, you
have a
shouldn't
life.
get married. It's in one of
Yeah,
his
no,
letters. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember
one
that.
of them.
Yeah.
But he was saying, like, we have to leave this life as we are not staying here. Like, we leave as we don't belong here. I think this is one of the key elements. The second thing is has
So it's important to realize everything
yeah.
is temporary. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
passing
to
away.
realize that it's not exactly, you're not taking anything to the coffin.
You're not bringing your 401k with you to heaven.
No, you're not. Like, it's not something that. And if once you have this idea that the most important thing that you have
Not that it's
is your
bad to save for
soul.
retirement.
No, please do.
Yes, yes.
Save for retirement. No, but what I'm saying is, the best investment that you can have is saving your soul. And by saving money on your bank, you're not saving your soul. That's what I mean. Having a reserve, an emergency reserve. Like myself, I have one because my family's far away. My wife's family far away. We have, like, Juliana has still a grandmother that's far. So if something happens, we need to have a reserve. It's not saying that you cannot have anything, or make an investment,
It's
buy something.
how you use
It's
it essentially.
exactly. It's like, what is it more
Or
like?
if it
Again,
dominates you, if it controls
it's
you.
what is it
Yes.
more important? Like, what is more important, to buy, someone that you love a gift, or investing the money in stock market? You know
Or
what I
how
mean?
about this? How about this? Get the newest, most expensive car, or give
Yeah,
some of that to your family, the poor, and the church.
exactly. So, like, do you actually need a Ferrari? Like,
No, we
doesn't
don't need
doesn't
Ferraris.
exactly. That's what I mean. Like, do you need a car, or do you need to show off? That's, you know what I mean. Like, everything that you have, it's like, nobody needs a Ferrari. If the Volkswagen or the Ford, let's keep it American. If the
For
if
the
the Ford,
audience. There's
because I'm
there's
thinking,
actually people who watch in Brazil and Europe too. And I
Yeah,
think
so
Philippines. Thank you guys.
thank you guys in the Philippines. By the way, yeah, no, I'm not saying this because on the 15th of October, Feast of Centuries of Avila, I'll have a live uh, video with the Philippines to talk about Centuries of Avila on Come Shalom YouTube. So if this shows up before the 15th of October, if you see this before the
Sneak peek.
15th of October 2020, subscribe to the channel so you can see me speaking with the brothers and sisters in the Philippines about Centuries of Avila. If you're seeing this after the 15th of October of 2020, go to the channel and then try to see it. I think it's going to be awesome. Anyways, closing
to
parenthesis. Back to poverty. Again, a Ford will take you places the same way as a Lamborghini will. A Fiat, the very good Fiats in Italy, you take places as as much as a Porsche will do it. So
I think Moises actually talks about this a little bit too. He talks about the economy of the kingdom as opposed to the economy of man. Like we invest in the economy of God's kingdom and God's will, and not necessarily in the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was thinking, for example, I had I don't invest in stock market. I don't have that kind of money. But I have a friend who was saying like, yeah, you don't because you're not that, like, it's not calling me, not saying that I'm not smart, but he was saying like, with $50 a month you can invest in stock markets and this kind of stuff. Like, I'm totally not into that. Nothing against who does, but I was thinking like the other day, one person invited me to help a seminarian who was going to be ordained in the next months, and they were asking for some help to buy the alb, and those things are expensive, the breviary and so on. And they asked me, because I'm in Canada, therefore I'm rich. I was telling them like, guys, I earn in dollars, but I also spend in dollars, and I also owe in dollars. So, guys, anyways, but immediately when I was asked to help with the seminarian, I was thinking like, if I had the $50 to invest in stock markets this month, I wouldn't invest in stock markets. My $50 would go to that seminarian, and I didn't think of it, because that is like, God knows. And I remember now another passage that says that when Jesus says, not even a glass full of water will be left without reward if it's given for one of my children, because they are my children. So what I felt like is like, if I'm not in the middle of a movie, I don't have to like empty an apartment and buy a new a new furniture and everything in the other continent, and I didn't have that much like tight budget. I was budgeting with my wife the other week. I was budgeting everything that we can buy in the first month, and
maybe we can do formation on budgeting and poverty.
That would be something.
If you're on the couples retreat.
Because we sold everything we had here in Toronto to buy everything anew back in Austria, because it's not like, it's too expensive to send through the boat. So we send just the documents, the pictures, some things that we cannot sell or buy. And then we are doing that, item by item, saying like, okay, first month we can buy this is the budget, and even though we're earning in dollars and spending in euros, is even more different. But I was like, oh my God, I wish I wasn't in such a tight budget. I could help this guy, because it's it's so hard to explain. It's not me trying to be holy because I'm trying to be, it's not me trying to be a saint just because of it. But I can see in front of me a clear opportunity to be charitable, to be poor, and to help the church in the most concrete way ever, that aches my heart, like I need to do this. And it's not because, now I'm telling you guys, and like now the whole internet's gonna know that I didn't help the guy. But I wish I did.
That's okay. Next time.
I know.
Yeah.
But that made me also think like as a community, we need to give 5% of what we get for the poor. That made me like now, today, in this, it was 2, 3 days ago, the poor had a clear image. I can see the face of that seminarian. It's not something that, it's not someone in Africa far away that is just, no.
He's a friend there that needs help.
Helping
Jesus
the poor
says, whatever you do for the least of my brothers, you do for me.
You know what I mean? Like, helping the poor had a face. Now it's not an image of a beautiful thing. It's now I have a face. The poor that needs help is that seminarian. So
when we give, we become materially poor and spiritually poor, because we're able to detach from the possession of the
even if you don't become materially poor, even if you don't become materially poor, you become spiritually poor. And that has a big value in the kingdom of God.
So the detachment, what was it? Detachment, living below your means,
giving it away. Like just
not letting
I don't
it
know
rule
if
you.
I don't know if the word in English means the same what I'm trying to think, but modesty. Not in the sense of covering yourself. Temperance.
Temperance.
If you leave the temperance, I think is the virtue of the poor. Like if you leave, like if you eat, you don't have to eat the most expensive food every day in your life. You
can eat
simply. You can live simply.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yes. Why not? I hate peanut butter and jelly. No, in that point, I'm not American at all. Like, never was. But as we missionaries, we live in a country and we try to make the culture of that country our culture. I got so many things. I love hockey.
This is being poor in God's hands.
Also,
letting God change you.
I'm here. I'm Canada. Like I'm Canadian as the Canadians, even though in Toronto there's not a lot of Canadians. But I like hockey. I like football, and I like going to places, going to fireworks, the parks. Like but peanut butter and jelly is too much for me.
Okay, so we have detachment.
So detachment,
living below your means. Temperance, living with temperance, as ways to combat, as ways to be poor, to say yes to God for His path.
Definitely, almsgiving. Giving to the poor, giving to the needy is definitely
investing in the kingdom.
Poverty. Yes, investing in the kingdom, being smart with the money that the Lord gives us. So, I think one of the biggest and most characteristics of a poor person is a person who's generous, who's just, and it's not a matter of and it's not a matter of simply giving something material, but it's giving your time, yourself. When you are with a generous person, it's different because the person is there for you and is listening to you, and it's not simply but the difference, right? I can't explain the difference between.
They give themselves, they help, they're available.
It's not a person who's
not selfish.
It's not exactly. It's not selfish. The person is not.
They're selfless.
Waiting for you. Yeah, you're not waiting for you to give them something. That's so. Those people are so
special.
Annoying to say the least. No. They're people who are just there to what are you gonna give to me? What information? What good you can give it to? Like you can't. I don't have anything to give to you. Well, the only thing I have is the gospel. The only thing I have is Jesus. I don't have. But yeah, so. Well, I think it's a wrap, eh?
Yes, amen. So we have the growing in selflessness, investing in the kingdom, detachment, living in modesty, living in simplicity, and not
Giving
letting it dominate
away.
you.
Yeah.
I think are
Just
all
being.
some very good benefits to living in material and spiritual poverty.
No doubt.
Amen. And we can ask Saint Joseph to help us to
Yes.
grow in poverty. And we can say, Our Father, who art in heaven,
What in
hallowed be
heaven,
thy name.
hallowed be
Thy
thy name.
kingdom come,
Thy
thy will
kingdom
be
come.
done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our
Give
daily
us
bread,
today
and
our
forgive
daily
us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into
bread.
temptation, but deliver us from
Deliver
evil.
us.
Amen.
Amen.
Saint Joseph, pray
Pray
for
for
us.
us.
And Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
God bless, guys. Thank you for listening. Shalom. See you next week.
Shalom.